Hey, what's happening, nation? It's Joku. I want to come out tonight and just take a specific look right at this defensive line, just kind of see exactly where we stand right now. And it'll kind of help us see who's going to remain on this team, what moves we're going to be making in the draft, and I just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on it. If you're new to the channel, please do think about subscribing. It really does help me out. It keeps me growing. But we're not going to waste time, man. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. We have 6 defensive linemen currently under contract on our team right now. It is the dudes that are highlighted on the screen. And then behind that, Collins is a free agent. Hankins is a free agent. Collins is not coming back. Hankins I would like to see come back, but I think he's going to end up being one that ends up getting washed out. Kendall Vickers is a restricted free agent. I'd like to see him stick around, but I think we're going to be looking for a different kind of rotation, but I think we're going to end up keeping like the staple core group that we have. And then the other one is Chris Smith. I'm not 100% sure. I think he is a free agent, but he might still end up riding the practice squad, so you guys can give me a little clarification on that. But look at these starting 6 right here. You got Farrell, we just re-signed Irving, you got Hurst, you got Crosby, you got Arden Key, and you got Nazib. For the life of me, I do not understand how this defensive line core right here does not generate the freaking pressure that they should on paper. And I understand a lot of these guys are coming up. They're younger, second season, third season. Carl Nazib's been around for a minute. But I really think that this youth movement can end up taking over this defensive line. But I guess my big question to you guys would be, we run a 4-3 defense. So Gus Bradley, your roster, like going into the season on your 53-man roster, you're going to allow 8 to 9 spots for your defensive line. We have 6 under contract right now. So you figure you got to open up 2 spots. Do you end up giving Tack McKinley a shot and give Beasley a shot? And then there's your 8. You re-sign Hankins. I mean, there's your full 9 right there. I don't think that's going to happen. Would you rather see Beasley go, Tack McKinley end up going, and then you bring in a dude like J.J. Watt, or you bring in a dude like Melvin Ingram and kind of solidify that, then draft the defensive tackle, and then you have your 8 right there? There's a lot of ways you can bounce around with it, man. There's a lot of different looks. In my personal opinion, I would like to see the Raiders go ahead and cut Tack. I know I've been backing that kid up, but go ahead and get him off the team. Get Beasley off the team. Get Hankins off the team. Restructure Carl Nazib. Keep Arden Key. Draft a defensive tackle, and then bring in one of these, not like big name defensive linemen, but bring in a dude like Melvin Ingram, who has played with Gus before and kind of understands the system. It could be another edge rusher, but you pretty much are forcing yourself in this situation to take either an edge rusher or a defensive tackle, preferably a defensive tackle, because that's where you can see like the glaring hole is on this defense as far as that line goes. In the draft in that first round, man, I'm telling you right now, our defensive line rotation will be looking solid as hell, because I really like the way that this is looking. I really like Farrell. I know a lot of you guys give me shit about that, but I really think that kid's a hell of a defensive end. Crosby, I think, is going to end up bouncing back. Hurst was kind of hit or miss this past season, was dealing with a lot. Irving came in injured, ended up playing one game, got hurt again, and then we really didn't see him. He was kind of bouncing around. Then he bounced to a few different teams. He bounced around to see if other teams would take him, but now he's actually back and signed with the Raiders. And I'm really thinking Arden Key's going to shine underneath Gus Bradley. And I know I keep talking Arden Key up, and he never does shit. Except for like 1 or 2 games he'll show up. But man, I don't know. I'm thinking this is looking pretty damn good. I just want to see what you guys would do with those extra. Let's say we got 6, so let's call it at 8 just for talking's sake, even though I think it'll probably end up being 9. Like if we keep Hankins and get him back for a reasonable contract, then we'll still need 2 more guys. I don't want it to be Beasley and Tack. I want it to be 2 bigger names, 2 people that can be impact players. And even if you got rid of all 3, dude, you got to open up some space for that draft. So hit me up, man. Let me know what you guys are thinking. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. I'm going to bounce back up here. Costas, what's going on, dude? I'm glad you can make it out. I don't think we need a complete rebuild. I think we can get by with the defensive ends that we have. And we need a good defensive tackle to go with Hurst. Some concerns with the backups, though. I'll give you that. We got to have the depth there. You have to have a solid 8 or 9 in that rotation. Juan, what's up, dude? Dave, what's going on, man? Cheers to yes, cheers to another Black Sunday. Andrew, what's up, man? Robert, how are you doing? Party Artie, what's good? Napoleon, what's happening, man? 805, what's going on? Sebastian. Darius Washington is another player I would take a look at in the later rounds. I'll have to look more into him, Dave. I'm not going to lie. His name doesn't pop out to me. Did you check out the tweet link I sent you? Yes, Raiders, I did, man. I actually mentioned it back in the other video, unless you just sent it. David Irving will feast. Dude, I'm really thinking David Irving has a shot to turn everything around, kind of get back on the field. I think his head's going to be on the right. I think everything's going to be looking good for him. I'm not worried about David Irving. I was pretty happy with us bringing him back. Hopefully he's going to be about 100% healthy, and he can end up being like a huge addition to this defensive line. If you could bring back one player, that was a defensive end in his prime, who would it be? Howie Long. I really like Howie Long. Like when I was a kid coming up, dude, Howie Long was like the man on the Raiders. Oh, Larry, what's going on, dude? I'm glad you can make it out. Fulcrum, what's going on? Draft Hall D, dude, we were drafting it last night. Nixon or Barrymore. Really, dude, we saw it last night. Nixon kept falling to that second round. I'd want to get somebody in that first round. I need somebody that can come in there and immediately make a big impact. I really think we can get that in this draft this year at that 17 pick. Nixon, I think, could end up being like a part of the rotation. I just don't know if he'd be able to lock down a starting job immediately, but there's going to be a hole, man. There's going to be a hole at that other defensive tackle spot. If Irvin cannot win that defensive tackle spot and they don't want to play Farrell on the inside, you're going to have to bring somebody in to fill that gap. And there's a lot of good dudes in free agency. There's a lot of good dudes in this draft if you're willing to blow your first round pick for it. L, what's happening? Carl Nassib doesn't wow me for some reason. Dude, I'm telling you right now, Carl Nassib doesn't wow anybody. And it sucks to say that because that dude's making a shit ton of money on our team. That's why I was saying, like, hopefully we can restructure him. If not, we're going to have to ride it out. And I'm telling you, man, I'm really thinking Carl Nassib, like, you saw flashes of it, but at the same time, the dude was a healthy scratch for 2 games this past season. You're paying somebody that much money, and then they're not even getting into that starting rotation, and they're not even eligible to play in a game. That's like the biggest damn red flag ever. Fans may blame defense, but Gruden's offense needs off-season attention too. It needs, his offensive line is going to need some tweaks. That is a true fact. But as far as the weapons that he has, a lot of that just comes down to him being able to make those play calls and spread this thing out a little bit. That offensive line, once you address 1 or 2 pieces on it, which I think you can either do like the 3rd round of the draft as far as bringing in an interior offensive lineman, and then maybe signing like a real tackle, not like a freaking Sam Young or somebody like that, like bringing in a real tackle to play that right side, and I think we'd be all right. We have decent depth on that offensive line. Uncle Joe, how's it going, man? Key has to go and release Tack. I'm really thinking Key's going to... My gut's telling me, dude, that Key's going to end up sticking. I know I've been flip-flopping on Key a tremendous amount, and for a while I was Key's biggest damn supporter. He frustrated the hell out of me last season. But I don't know, man. You look at this whole defensive group as a whole, so much of it I chalk up to just Gunther just sucking, man. Like, just straight sucking at what he was doing. And I don't know. I don't want to give him a pass because I'm so fed up with this shit and looking at the defensive side of the ball. But I really think we have talent out there, dude. Bye-bye Beasley. I'm really thinking Beasley's going to roll on. Melvin Ingram is old. He is old. And so is J.J. Watt. And they're both injury-prone as hell. But I'm saying, dude, you only need to fill like 2 more spots on this defensive line, and then you have like your true rotation. So you want to bring in one of these older guys that can mentor these younger kids. I mean, look at that core, man. That core is a young group of dudes with the exception of Nassib. So if you bring in a guy like Watt or Ingram that could really help him learn the defense, show him a few little tricks, but then still play at a pretty high level. J.J. Watt actually played a pretty damn good season last year for the times that he was healthy, man. But he's been hurt the past 2 seasons. You just don't want to see it happen again, especially if you go out there and give him a pretty decent contract. I like Ingram on a cheap deal. I like him on a cheap deal too, but I don't think him or J.J. Watt are going to come on a cheap deal. Yeah, he gets hurt too much. Need Abram to really step it up. He wants to wear that Woodson jersey. Robert, what's happening, man? I'm glad you can make it out. I completely agree with you, but I'm telling you right now, him playing that predator role, sitting right in the middle of the field, being able to bounce either direction right at the start of every play, not necessarily having to drop back in coverage unless he thinks he has to, but just being able to key the running backs, key the people coming out of the backfield, picking up that little cheap shot on the tight end coming off the ball. He's going to shock the shit out of you next year. Tomlinson from the Giants. Sebastian, I've heard his name tossed around a pretty good bit. Nassib needs to restructure. His ass better restructure. If he doesn't restructure, he better be one of our starting linemen on this team and prove that shit week in and week out, because I'm at the end of my rope with Nassib, man. We need to fix the interior and the safety and the cornerback. All right, man. The cornerback, and I know we're doing a defensive line breakdown right now, but I will jump into the cornerbacks for just a second. Mullen and Arnett should be able to carry this team. And it's Nixon that kind of scares me. Isaiah Johnson, I truly love. I just don't know if he's going to be able to stick on this team. So I'd like to see us bring in like a veteran cornerback, and that would have to come through free agency. I think that would be a huge addition to this team. I don't want to see us go out there and just blow a shit ton of money on somebody that is, I don't know, like I know I talked up Sherman a pretty good bit, and then Peterson's still out there. And it's like, I don't want either one of those dudes anymore. I know I put them in videos, but I've been thinking about it. And I was like, those dudes are kind of overpriced. We need somebody that can be, and I keep going back to that dude on the Bengals, man. What is that kid's name? I had it wrote down somewhere. I had him in one of my videos. Shit, I lost him wherever it was. But, dude, I keep going back to him. I really think he'd be a good fit. He's a former first-round pick, and I really like that kid, and he's not going to cost us a shit ton of money. Cut key and tack and sign Beasley. I'm not sold on Beasley, man. I'm not going to lie, Aaron, at all. I can understand you wanting to cut and tack. Like, tack's another one that I think could honestly have some potential. And we never really saw what he could give us. And that's why I think he has a shot at really making an outside shot at making this team. Beasley, I know what he's going to give us, and I do not want to give him the money for the performance that he's going to put on the field week in and week out. Arden Key, the dude had flashes, man, and the kid's putting in work. Part of me still really likes Arden Key. I'm not going to lie. I think the biggest problem was Gunther. I hated his scheme. They seemed to play more of the run than rushing the passer. Yes, Calvin, I completely agree with that. Like, I put so much of our defensive woes on Gunther himself. Like, just solely on Gunther and the scheme he was trying to run. His scheme is built around doing exactly what he says and not doing what the players are doing or what the players do best. And as soon as you get away from that, you lose the respect of the players, especially if you're going in there week in and week out and you're not winning games, your defense is getting exploited. You saw it with Littleton when he came out in the press conference. He said, man, I'm just doing what the coach tells me to do. Because he knew damn well he wasn't doing the right thing, but he was doing what he was being told, and it just doesn't work, man. Beasley didn't do anything for us. Man, Beasley's going to let Beasley roll. I'm telling you right now, let that dude roll. He is not worth the money. We need somebody with Abrams' attitude on the defensive line. Yes, we do. A true leader across that defensive front. Sorry about the length. No worries, dude. I don't know about key numbers, man. A lot of people don't. And I'm probably one of Key's bigger supporters. I think that kid has, like, true talent. I think the way that he can bend around that edge, and he's always just like a freaking hair away from getting that sack or making the play. Eventually, he's going to get there. My thing with Arden Key is if he ends up going someplace else, he might end up exploding, and he'll be one of those dudes that we had on the team that we thought, man, he's just not going to end up making that turn, and then he does for somebody else, and that would drive me insane, dude, because I really like that kid. What about Bud Dupree from the Steelers? I like Bud Dupree. I just don't know. He's going to come with a pretty hefty price tag. Why didn't David Irvin play much last season? We brought him in, and he had to go through his physical, and then he had to go through like his COVID waiting period, and he was still a little bit banged up. We ended up bringing him in for that first game. We were all pretty excited about it. Then he ended up getting banged up, and he got hurt in that game because I really don't think he was 100%. I think we really rushed him into it. But then once he ended up getting hurt again, he went back to the practice squad, just kind of floated back and forth. He only got activated one other time, but he never really hit the field. I'm really thinking now that he's had a full season to kind of get back into football shape, heal up on his injuries. If he can come in and have a good camp, he has a serious shot at being in this rotation, man. Arden Key is not a good defensive lineman. He's not effective. Watts, man, I kind of have to disagree as far as he's effective. He just doesn't finish. Like, that's his biggest damn problem. And that's why I know people get so pissed off at him. When he was playing that spy against Kansas City, he looked awesome. Like, really looked awesome. But then you see him on other plays to where he ends up coming around that edge and just comes around too far, trying to bend all the way around the outside, and they just run it right in that gap that he leaves wide open. And there's other plays where he's, like I said, man, he's like right there, but he just cannot finish. We don't need more defensive ends. We got the talent. We just need patience. We've already had a monster. We've already got a monster with Tack who had 16 sack season. Stick with the pieces and maybe bring in a linebacker like Von Miller. Dave, I'll give you that, but if I'm not bringing in Von Miller as far as that linebacker position goes, if we were going to do that, you'd have to go with one of those top 3 linebackers at 17 in the draft. And that, honestly, I'd be okay with because all 3 of those dudes are going to end up being complete freaks in the NFL. But we need a defensive tackle. We have to address that defensive tackle spot. We need a solid starting come in here, play next to Hurst. And I mean, Hurst had his ups and downs last year. Hopefully he can kind of establish himself as our true defensive tackle, one of our 2 true defensive tackles. I don't know if he has it in him, man. So I'm really looking to possibly get 2, one in free agency and one through the draft. If we don't get a free agent defensive tackle, we have to figure out a way to get Barrymore, somebody who can rush the pass from the defensive tackle aside from Hurst. It would be a huge difference, man. It would be what this team needs, and we have not had in a good minute. Why is nobody talking about Yannick? I don't think he'll ask for the top 5 edge money. Ryan, I will tell you right now, the only reason I don't talk about Yannick is because of the money. I really think that dude is young. He is good as hell, and he's going to end up getting paid, man. And if the same, like in the same breath if you cut Beasley, you cut Tack, you cut Hankins, you cut the other 4 dudes that are only like Malik Collins that are free agents right now, honestly, you'd have the money to bring him in for a season or two. The dude's not going to take like a 1-year prove-it deal, though. He's going out, he's looking for a long-term contract, and he's looking to get paid. If we can bring Yannick out of this deep, I would take that in a damn heartbeat. I don't think it would work as far as just financially with the way this offseason's going to be. It hasn't been good, but he's not starting at the D. And he's not the guy, Dave, I'll give you that, man. But he's a good rotational piece. But if you're going to be a rotational piece, you do not deserve the money that he's getting. That's why I'm saying the dude needs to restructure. Actually, is some other defensive man that are as good as Barrymore? I'll give you that, man. There's a lot of good defensive linemen that are coming out in this draft. I'm going to need a new TV. If Parsons falls to us and we don't grab him, already, man, I'm telling you right. If Micah drops the 17 and we do not pull the trigger on that, I'm going to need a whole bunch of new shit because I'm going to start breaking a hell of a lot of stuff that's sitting around me. Key is a nice guy to root for, but not much more than that, unfortunately. Andrew, and that's kind of where I was feeling like kind of going back and forth. I was like, man, because I do. I mean, you guys have been watching me. You guys know how I feel about Arden Key, but the dude, he doesn't finish. I mean, he said it. And like Watts was saying, you can bring in somebody else to fill that role. I wanted to look at the guys that were under contract that were still on this team. I'm going to pull for Key to be in our rotation. I think if you can put Key in the right situations, I'm not going to say that he could be that Leo guy for Gus Bradley, but he could be that guy that could end up being that spy in like the Kansas City games for a quarter or a half and just kind of mix it up and show a different look, because that's really what I'm hoping for from Gus Bradley, is that we just see different looks on the defensive side of the ball. Samoan Raider mentioned you. So what's up, Bubba? We'll follow you. Oh, Lloyd, man, I really appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I talked about that the other night. I was so damn happy that dude gave me a shout-out. One night I do really want to get together and play some Fortnite with him. Restructure Carl Dantz's contract. The numbers we have to. Hopefully he's willing to do it. Key is just wasting cap space. He needs to go. And if he does go, I will be a little bit pissed, but I'll understand the move. Because if you end up getting rid of Beasley, Tack, Hankins, and Key, dude, then you can go out there and you can draft 1 or 2 guys for this defensive line and then bring in like one of these bigger name dudes. Gunther may be one of the reasons that Nassib was benched. Gunther has a lot of questionable decisions. Man, I'm not going to argue with that. Anything Gunther does is like, it's just stained. Dude from Washington is a nice defensive tackle, and I think he'd end up probably going in that second round too from what we were looking at last night. I'd rather grab Watt and still draft a young defensive tackle in the draft. That's what I'm saying, dude. Well, you could go out there and get J.J. Watt to be your 7th and then draft that stud defensive tackle at number 17 in the draft, or drop back into the second round and that Nixon kid kept being there. Go ahead and draft him. And then you are, dude. You're looking a hell of a lot better than you were last year. You sign a single high cover free safety. You go ahead and sign a veteran cornerback. This whole defense is flipped, and then you have a new coach that's actually doing his damn job, dude. You'd be looking good as hell. Levi Nixon, Marvin or Wilson, Sebastian, yep. Raiders, what's going on? Just want to say F the car haters. Yeah, me too. I say it all the time. Geno Atkins is too old for me, man. I understand he'd probably come with a pretty reasonable contract, but he can't be out there and playing consistently, and that's what we're going to need from our other defensive tackle. I'm a lot less concerned about cornerback. I want Joyner gone, Isaiah Johnson at the slot, and a stud-free safety. Man, I'd love Isaiah Johnson in that slot. And honestly, towards the end of last season, they were talking about how he was kind of shifting into that safety position. Maybe he just wasn't catching on fast, but through a full offseason, through a full camp, maybe Isaiah Johnson could end up working himself into that nickel slot position. That's a whole reason I want to draft that Jeremiah kid out of Notre Dame. But if Isaiah can fill that spot and we can focus on this defensive line, I'll take it, man. Watt's still got some good games in him. Great leader. He is. And I'm not going to... Dude, if we ended up signing Watt beside his injury woes, like what he would bring to our team, I will take that all damn day. And I understand it would be a little bit bigger price tag than I wanted to pay, but you can make the cuts. I mean, you're looking at it right here. You cut these other dudes that aren't on this list, and then you're going to end up having the money to get J.J. Watt for a year or two. But J.J. Watt's been pretty open that he wants to go to Pittsburgh or he wants to go to Cleveland. And I don't know. Maybe we could sway it, dude. William Jackson, that's a possibility. If he stays on the field, the biggest question with JJ, that is the biggest question. We only have 4 cornerbacks, including a Meek, and that's not enough. No, dude, we're going to end up carrying... Last season, we went into it with 7 corners and then like 1 hybrid dude that could play corner or safety, which we'll just go ahead and peg that with a Meek. But we're going to have to bring in, dude, a few cornerbacks, and I really don't want to see it be like all through the draft. We have to get at least 1 veteran corner on this team, even if he doesn't start. to just kind of be that third guy behind Mullins and behind Damon Arnett, just in case one of those guys go down. Maybe he beats out Arnett and he ends up starting across from Mullen, and then Arnett realizes he needs to prove himself, stay healthy, and keep his ass on the field. So, I mean, I'll do it, dude. Joku, I agree with you for the most part, except for Melvin Ingram, looking at the same piss-poor production out of a washed-up lineman. As far as Key, we will get the same piss-poor production. Robert, yeah, I'm not arguing with you on that one. And I don't know. I'm just a fan of that dude. It is what it is. As far as Melvin Ingram goes, I'm not too high on him. He's just one of the names that people keep throwing out at me. If you were going to come down and it came down to similar price tags and you could either get J.J. Watt or Melvin Ingram, you're taking the same injury risk. And I would definitely take J.J. in that situation 100% of the time. Key has potential. I still think he does, man. Draft defense, Chris, don't worry about that. You know damn well we're going to have a defensive draft. Gregory, what's up, man? It's been a minute since you've been out. I'd add Leonard Williams to the roster. You got up. I'm good with their season's lineup. Gregory, I've been talking about him for a good minute. I really, from what everybody's been telling me and everything I've been reading, the Giants are going to let him slip away. They gave up too much to get him on the team. They're going to end up blowing a little bit of money and paying more than he'd probably get someplace else just to keep him around. If he gets hurt, put in the rookie. It's common sense. That's a fact, dude. That's why you bring in these rookies and you bring in these veteran guys. Let them start. Let them kind of show the ropes. They get hurt. Let them slip in. Z's, what's going on? Key the GOAT. Yeah, Key and Peterman are the two GOATs on this team. They just need a shot, dude. Geno Atkinson or come on, Short. I'd take Short. Gustav, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming out. I do like Short. Geno, I just think it's too old, man. I think it's time to get rid of Arden Key. What do you think? Jason, I think he's going to end up riding this roster for one more year because then after this season, his contract will be over. We'll be able to release him just flat out without any problems. If he ends up showing up this season being really good, maybe you can get some trade value out of him. But if he ends up showing up and just like completely balling out, then we still have him on this team. You might as well give him a shot, especially just as a rotational piece. I'm not saying the dude's going to come out there and be a starter. Nick Kay will be the anchor of our defense. He was last season. I don't see anything changing. In Kwiatkowski's honestly become one of my favorites. I really think Littleton's still going to have just an awesome season under Gus. So I really think our linebacker room should step up in a major way. And if Morrow continues to progress the way that he has over the past couple seasons, man, I'm expecting pretty damn big things out of him. Abram doesn't deserve number 24. He should switch to 32. He's Tatum Jr., Napoleon. He's not giving up that 24, but he's going to have to prove. He's going to have to earn that 24 because a lot of people have been putting that out. Leonard Williams would be the best option, but he might not get him. Leonard Williams would be the best option, but I just don't think it's going to end up coming out, man. Do you want to pay JJ a ton of money and have him play 6 games? I don't know. I do not want to pay JJ a ton of money. That's why I'm saying if JJ knows that he's coming off a couple of injuries. JJ's moving on from the Texans. Somebody's going to end up giving him a decent contract, but I don't think it's going to be anything like crazy big. But that's the other thing. If he ends up going to Pittsburgh, I think he'd honestly take less money just to play with his brother. And if he goes to Cleveland, I think he'd take a team-friendly deal because he knows he has a shot at getting to the bowl. We need to draft a cornerback in the draft. I agree with you, 805, but I just think it's going to come late. I'd love it. Leonard Williams, really the ideal choice. I mean, he is the ideal choice. I just don't think it's going to come down. Turned down for what? He paid the spine very well. I think he could be a decent linebacker. Lusk, I'll tell you, man, I thought about moving around and like when I was putting together the 3-4 and just kind of seeing how it looked. I honestly put Arden Key at that linebacker spot. It just, him in coverage against, like, if you ended up getting singled up against one of these smaller, shifty, like, slot wide receivers, he'd be destroyed. And if he went up against one of the more elite tight ends, he would get destroyed. But if you put him in at that linebacker spot and his job was nothing else than just blitzing, then, I mean, I would take that, but you can't have him just doing that. Name of my fantasy league. Oh, Reem, what's happening, dude? Key is going to be the key this season. Reem, I think he has a shot, man. Key overshoots the quarterback too much. It's time to move on. Sean, man, he does. He does overshoot the quarterback a tremendous amount. That's what I was talking about earlier. He's right there that he just doesn't finish, or he's right there and he just blows around the backside, gets a hand on him, but the quarterback just shakes out. But, I mean, that's all him, dude. That's him coming close so damn much. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to give up on him yet. I've always thought the key should have been tried out at linebacker. I'll give you that, man. Our defensive tackle protection, sack sucks. Sam, 100%. That's why I'm saying, like with this right here, if you're looking at the screen, the glaring hole in this is the defensive tackle. We have to bring in a solid, like #1 defensive tackle. Like, come in there and play right next to Hurst. Like, you're on the team, you're starting. It was supposed to be Malik Collins. We all saw what happened with that. But if you go out there and you sign one of these free agents, you give them like a 1-year prove-it deal, you have the shot at bringing in another Malik Collins and then looking at the same shit we were looking at all through the last year. And I can't do that, man. Key is a big cap hit, I think. No, he's really not, dude. We'll start the rookie then, since you don't want to sign a veteran, but don't half-ass it. You can't have it both ways. No, you cannot. I was so bummed that Maurice Hurst didn't play as much and as well as I expected last season. Well, I'm right there with you. Would you take on 2 massive problems, 2021, more injuries than not? Man. Oh, dude. Farrell is not great in the pass rush, but he's on the inside. He's more effective. In my personal opinion, I do like him more on the inside. I think he does play better. But as far as the pass rush goes, I look at Farrell not as an edge rusher. I look at him as a true defensive end. That dude is fantastic against the run. He's fantastic about breaking out and covering the screens and picking up those little flare routes if he has to. I mean, as far as him blitzing, he'll get there. He'll have like 1 or 2 games where he ends up getting maybe 1 or 2 sacks, but he's going to finish the season with like 4 to 6 sacks probably. But he's going to end up having probably more tackles than anybody else in that defensive line if he ends up staying healthy. Gunther was dazzled by Collins, took snaps away from Hurst. Yes, he was, and for no damn reason at all. If you can finish, you were not effective, just like Eric Harris. Watts, man, I can't argue with that. That's a great point. That is a great point right there. Linemen pretty deep in this year's draft. Pretty sure Mayock can draft a solid one in the 3rd round. I saw a lot of good ones dropping in the 2nd. By the 3rd round, the linebackers looked pretty depleted, and then the edge rushers were still there, but the defensive tackles were not. John, what's going on, dude? More injuries than a MASH unit both years. The team collapses back. Yep, second half of the season, they end up struggling. Have a good stream. Have to go. I appreciate it, Z's. Oh, Delta, what's good, dude? Grab both defensive tackles from USC. Draft more. Man, we ended up getting, we got that one of those drafts. I think it was the 1st or 2nd one. We ended up getting Jeremiah in the 1st. We got Morgan in the 2nd. That draft looked sick as hell, man. I'm not even going to lie. Key is $4 to $5 million. He's still on his rookie contract, and he wasn't a 1st-round pick. Damn, I'll have to look more. I didn't think he was costing us that much. If he's costing us that much, then yes, I agree. We need to get him, go ahead and make that move. Christian Barrymore can save us and make the other 1st-round picks look better. Sam, a lot of people are throwing his name. He really, like, from the tape that I watched on him, the interior pressure that he creates, it's something that we have not seen in a good minute. It's something that we saw when we ended up having P.J. Hall sitting next to Hurst on this defensive line 2 seasons ago, where every now and again one of those two would just bust through the line. I don't know. I was kind of done with P.J. Hall just because, like, the condition that he was doing. But I don't know. You see what it can do now. He sucks, and I'm tired of hearing about his potential. It never produces. He has proven to be a detriment. I'll give you that, man. I mean, a lot of people agree with you. Raiders should consider drafting or trading the 17th pick for Quentin Williams. Ryan, I've seen that a lot. I just don't think they give that up. Key's got to go. Farrell is back to defensive end. Hurst is the other defensive tackle. Yes. Trent goes, yes or no. I think from a financial standpoint, if you guys want to see like true changes made on this team and like talk about and see the like all the things that we keep predicting are going to happen, then he's one of the people that has to go. You have to be able to free up that money. You have to be able to go ahead and, I mean, Ty Williams is going to free up some money. You go ahead and move on from Joyner, bring in another safety. That's going to free up a huge chunk of money. And then all of a sudden you're looking at 25, 30 million that you're going into free agency that you can end up making some pretty damn moves and make some pretty drastic changes to your team. You dedicate all that money to the defensive side of the ball. Honestly, dude, you're sitting at probably a top 15 defense. You make the right freaking moves. Now I'm telling you right now, you give Gruden a top 15 defense on the other side of the ball, welcome to the playoffs, nation. So what do you think about moving Key to linebacker? I just don't think it'll work. I think if that would have to have been a move that we made with him like immediately coming out of college to where, all right, you're going to start playing linebacker. We want to see what you have, see if you can adapt to the position. Same thing we're doing with Muse. Instead of being a safety, moving up to the linebacker. Hopefully he pans out too, man. But that's a huge gap. Like, that's a learning curve that some of these kids have to take because some of these dudes, like Muse, had kind of bounced back and forth where he played safety, he played linebacker. A dude like Arden Key has been predominantly defensive line his entire life. Gunther is on the Vikings. That stinks. He's like a defensive... Damn, I forgot what they called him. He's not like a coach. He's like a... just kind of overseeing everything. With the rush up the middle, Key and Farrell would be able to finish. Every time he gets close, the QB could just move up in the pocket with a little push up the middle. That is true. If you got some guys that can push up the middle, it's going to make any defensive end. It'll make Carl Nassib look like a freaking superstar if you're getting pressure up the middle. Because once they have to roll to one of those sides, if those guys are playing wide and they're coming around the outside, they're going to end up cleaning up that sack. I was watching some film on Sherman today, and he's will to tackle. Oh, his will to tackle these days are gone. Sam, I'll give you that. I've seen that myself. Get some younger talent instead of these banged-up defensive linemen to help Max and Clee. Thank you, Cool Kev. Sick of Key running past and running straight for. Sir Raider, how are you doing, man? Running straight past the tackler of the sack. We've seen it, man. We've seen it, and I'm not going to lie to you. It pisses me off. I'm right there with you. Jumped out a little bit. Cade, what's going on, dude? I'm glad you can make it out. Second time watching the podcast. Great analysis. Joku, straight off the cuff with no delay. Much respect. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you for coming out to the show, man. Don't turn Key into nothing. Draft the damn linebacker. Thank you, dude. At 17, bring in that freaking Jeremiah kid. Bring in Michael Parsons. Bring in Xavier Collins. Bring in one of those three dudes, and I think we will be fine. Fast will be Mara or Muse. I'm really hoping Muse can win that spot. Get rid of Collins. Bring in Atkins on a 1-year contract. And get Big Cat Williams. I'll tell you, dude. Get rid of Collins. I agree with. I'm not sure about the other ones, man. What do you think about keeping? I don't think it, man. Maro's solid. Maro's been progressing, so hopefully he can turn things around and kind of keep moving with it. Damn, you guys are flying in this comment section. I started this so late. No, busy. What's happening, dude? Hey, what if we trade Marcus for Steven? Dude, I've seen a couple videos about people talking about that. I really want just like trade value for Marcus Mariota. I want to see us get draft picks. I really think you can get a 3rd round pick for Marcus Mariota. I think that kid can prove that. I really think that would help us out get into this draft. I don't think we'd end up having to give something else up to get Gilmore in if you were just trading. That would not be a straight trade. They didn't develop under PG. Wonders will never cease. Yeah, no shit. Nobody progressed under Paul Gunther. Nobody. It's just, that's a sign. That's Paul Gunther, man. Dave's right. Miles Jack wouldn't be a bad signing. No, he would not. I would take that. Should we draft a wide receiver in the later rounds? Raiders Rick, I've heard a lot of people talking that we're going to end up taking a wide receiver in the later rounds. As long as we address the positions in the first 3 rounds that we truly need to address on this defensive side of the ball, I really don't care what we do with the rest of that draft because I really want to see us take a running back in the 5th. So if you want to take first 3 rounds defense, 4th round, take a wide receiver, 5th round, take a running back. We don't have a 6th round pick, then finish the draft off with whoever the hell you want. I think I would be all right with that, man. Oh, Johnny Storm, what's going on? I saw you just missed it last night, dude. Because Irvin looks like smoking that butt. Yes, he does. Well, welcome back to Vegas. We need pass rushers on that pick 17. We need that defensive tackle at 17, man. If we don't get a defensive tackle, we have to take one of those top 3 linebackers. One of those top 3 linebackers will be on the board. I'm still going to say that's who we should take, but only if it's Jeremiah, because I think our linebackers will be okay. I'd just take Jeremiah to fill that nickel spot. But I mean, if Micah Parsons is on the board, if you pass on that, you're just a damn fool. I'm rooting for Irvin. I think he's going to ball out. I am too. I really hope that he does. I really hope he can come in healthy. Free agency's coming up. Let's go, dude. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for free agency. I'll roll them for Irvin. Dude, if he can be our sack leader, I'll do it. I'll start mailing stuff. I'll take my chances. Me need more draft picks. Dude, yes. You can get more draft picks. I'm telling you. We got some people we could trade off. A lot of people have been talking about us trading Trent Brown and possibly bringing in some draft picks for that. If somebody's willing to eat Trent Brown's, just the contract that we gave him for some damn reason, we could end up getting, some people have said a 1st. I don't think that shit's going to happen. But if you could end up pulling a 2nd and a 5th for somebody like that, I would take that in a heartbeat. TJ Vasher, 6'6", red zone problem solved. Jeff, what's going on, man? I'm glad you make it out. Mariota, take a pay cut, man. You got lucky to play in one game, $11 million for one game. Dude, I'll tell you right now, if Mariota was willing to restructure, I would keep him on this team all damn day. Might get a draft pick or 2 for Mariota. I think you would. Risk take, what's going on? Glad you can make it out. Let's go get OBJ. Man, I'm going to pass on him, dude. I know a lot of people would want to see him come on, but he brings a lot to your team that I just don't want to see, that I don't think Derek Carr would be able to deal with. Still waiting on free agency to see how we draft. Yeah, me too. Risk, that's going to be a big part of it. Crosby isn't a starter. Nicholas, man, I've been talking about that. Talking about moving him into that role that Key's playing, move on from Key. But then you got to draft somebody to play that other edge spot. And then bring Crosby in the blitzing situation since his motor is so high, keep him fresh. But I mean, the way this is looking right now, you end up pulling Crosby, putting him where Key's at. The only person we have is Carl Nassib slipping in. You want Carl Nassib starting on your defensive line instead of Max Crosby? No, I don't. But if you got somebody better than both of them, you can't argue that, man. AJ Green would be cheaper than Robinson. He's going to be way cheaper than Robinson. And I'll tell you, AJ Green's getting up there in his career, but he's pretty much taken like a year and a half off of football. If we can get AJ Green, I've been going back and forth on it. If you can get one good, healthy season, he'd be worth it if the price tag was right. Trent Brown is gone like Lynn Bowden. It would help the teams if we've still got a backup. Trade Trent to the Bengals. We need a project. We need to protect Joe Burrow. Man, you need to do something with Joe. If you end up letting that kid get hurt again, it's going to get in his head. All trade teams for Brown going to question his availability versus the contract. That's it, man. Draft Rashawn Slater. And we got the Trent Brown problem solved. Dave, is he going in the first? I don't want to see us end up blowing our load in the first round on an offensive lineman. I understand that there's a shot that we do that. But I want to see us bring in a defensive player at that 17 spot. And that doesn't take away from the fact that the contract was stupid. No, it does not. Oh, Mr. Chandler Bog, what's happening? Trade Trent Brown or restructure his contract, but then we should draft the tackle in the first. I'll give you that. Slater is a beast. Can AJ Green play defense? All right, man, that's pretty much what I have for you guys tonight. Just wanted to come out and break it down and get your guys' thoughts on this defensive line, show you exactly where we're sitting right now, and just see if you would keep these guys around or who you would move on from as far as like Beasley and Tack and Hankins and Vickers, because I really think you can wash those dudes out, keep the 6 that we have on the team, bring in 2 to 3 more guys, and really be looking solid as far as that defensive line rotation. So, I don't know. Hit me up in the comments afterwards. If you're new to the channel, like I said, please do think about subscribing. If you could click that like button on your way out, it really does help me out and keep me growing. But until next time, we're going to break down another position. I think I'm probably going to end up going to the secondary after this. We'll be doing it in a day or two. So, I'm Son Joku. Thank you all very much. I really